Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's edition of Take 5. This week we are talking about the message that I preached Sunday. That message was entitled, Giving Our Children Back to God. And of course, what we're doing is we're trying to get a proper understanding of what it is to really give our children to God in this thing we call a baby dedication service. But we've learned it's not just one service, it's not just one ceremony. It's something that's going to happen all of our life. We will find ourselves constantly having to give our children back to God. Now, yesterday we talked about what a baby dedication is not. Number one, it is not biblically required. It's a good thing to do, and I think we should do it. But don't ever turn it into something that, is a Bible mandate. The Bible says you have to. No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that. So don't turn it into some type of religious work. So it's not biblically required. Number two, baby dedication service does not pertain to the personal salvation of the child. And number three, a baby dedication service has nothing to do with the modern concept of, circumcision or infant baptism or anything like that. A lot of people have turned it in to rituals just like that, but that is not what it is. So for the next couple of days through Friday, I want to talk about what a baby dedication service is and how it is not just a service, it's a lifelong responsibility that we will do for our children that is really required by God. That's the responsibilities that He has given us. Now, we get this idea of baby dedications from the scriptures. We look at Hannah is our go-to text, seemingly, with her dedication of Samuel there unto the Lord. And since that time when Hannah did that, it was a very common thing among the Jews, and it was brought right on into the New Testament church, and that's fine, long as it's taken into the proper perspective. Another example was Joseph and Mary carrying Jesus when after his 8 days of circumcision, when they were ready for their 40 days of purification after the birth of Jesus, they carried him before the temple there to be presented to the Lord. But I believe the greatest example that we will draw from is from Abraham, who gave his child back to God to such a degree that he was willing to kill him and sacrifice him to God on an altar and burn him there. That's another level of faith. I'm just telling you, that's another degree. But he loved God that much, and he feared God that much, that he was willing to give his son back to God to that degree. Now I'm going to read just a few verses from Genesis 22. We don't have time this week to read all that we read on Sunday, but just a few verses that I believe get us going in the right direction before we name four things that a baby dedication service should be. I want to look at some things that are going to get us going in the right direction. Genesis chapter 22, you know the story with Abraham. God blessed him with that child when he was 100. Sarah was 90. This was the miracle child. And the Bible said sometime later, God tested Abraham, and he said to Abraham, as he called his name, and Abraham said, "Here I am." Now, the thing that we need to learn first and foremost is that when God blesses us with a child, that child that He has given us is a test. It will always be a test. I know what some of you are thinking. I've thought the same thing. Yeah, they really will test you, but it is a test. How you're going to treat that child, how you're going to raise that child, how you're going to love that child, the direction that you're going to aim that child in life. It is all a test from God. He wants to know what you're going to do with this child that He has given you. So God said to Abraham, "Take your only son, the son that you love, and go to the region of Moriah, sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on the mountain that I will show you." So early the next morning, Abraham got up, he loaded his donkey, he took two of his servants and his son Isaac, and when he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God told him about. This bears stopping and talking about when he had cut enough wood. He had to cut all the wood for the sacrifice by himself. Cutting wood's hard work. I don't know if you've ever done it or not, A lot of people have not. Cutting wood is hard work. It's tough. It's strenuous. It's laborious. It's difficult. And this is what this father had to do in preparation to give his son back to God. He had to work. Simply stated, it is not easy to be a parent in the hour that we live in. It is not easy to give your child back to God. It's work. You can't be lazy and be a godly parent that consecrates and gives their child back to God. You can't do it. There are entirely too many parents today, young parents especially, that just want to kind of run on cruise control and think it's going to happen automatically. Nothing happens automatically. Now, I said that about young parents. Let me also say the other side. There are a lot of great young parents, and we've got some in our church that are doing an awesome job in raising their children and pointing them in the right direction to follow God. But it's work. It's like cutting wood. It's hard work. It's strenuous, but it is something that is necessary. Raising these children in the training of the Lord, it is not something for the faint of heart. The next verse said, as they were traveling on the third day, he looked up and he finally saw the place in the distance. So not only was he cutting wood as a sign of hard work, but it was a long journey. It's taken him 3 days to get there, and now he still looks, and it's still in the distance. So it's not an easy journey. So this is what I'm going to really leave you with today as we try to understand this idea of giving our children back to God from the perspective of Abraham. It's a test. Number one, what are you going to do with what God has given you? Number two, it's hard work. It is not easy. You've got to stay on your game. You can't afford one day to give up and give them over to the world and the devil. He's not going to miss a day, and so we cannot miss a day. And number three, it's a long journey. It doesn't happen just in one day. It doesn't happen at one time. It's not one service. It's a lifelong responsibility, this idea of giving our children back to God. So it's not just a service. It's not just a ceremony. It's a lifetime responsibility that God has given us. Hey, tomorrow and Friday, we're going to name 4 different things that I believe that God expects out of us as parents, and it's going to give us even more clarity about this idea of giving our children back to God as well. Well, hey, I got to get out of here. It's been good being with you today. I look forward to being with you tomorrow on Thursday's edition of Take 5. Till then, God bless you. Have a great day. Remember, friend, trust the Lord. He will never fail you.